Hi everyone, welcome to the Mama Elephant YouTube channel. This is Rena. Today we're going to take a look at a couple of products for the February 15th release. And first up is Little Signage Agenda. I love this agenda set because it has a different variety of different animals, and each animal is holding a sign, and you can stamp out one of the many letters that the set comes with to customize your message. Okay, my favorite one is the lion. So cute. I love all of the Mama Elephant lions. They had one for Wild Roar, and I really love that lion also. So that's my favorite one. Here's a look at the coordinating dies for Little Signage Agenda, and also a new Creative Cuts die, Lift Flap Grid, which is super fun to use. We'll be making a card using this die, so I'll show you how that all works. For this first card, I decided to stamp out hearts and stars in the signs using a couple of tiny stamps from the Me and My Robot set. It was just the first set that I saw that had hearts and stars that would fit inside the little signs. So I'm stamping that all out on the inside. I believe I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink for that. And here is an example of what it looks like when you stamp out the letters. I'm going to make a card in a bit that says Miss You. So this is lots of coloring. I colored one of each one. I believe there are 16 different animals. Y'all, I didn't choose the colors beforehand. We just winged it. So I'm just trying to color all of the animals the color that they're supposed to be. And the unifying element that I have with each of them is I'm leaving the signs white, but I did add a little bit of gray shading to them. Normally I pick my colors in advance, but there's 16 different animals, and I just wanted to save a little bit of time, so I just had my Copic color chart handy, and I just colored it like super easy. These are small images, so you don't really need to blend too much. I believe I just used two colors, a darker and like a lighter one, just so there's a tiny bit of blending, but not too much. I did save all of the markers off to the side, and I'll have a list of them down below in the description box. So lots of coloring up ahead, but you know me, I always like to do one of each just so you can see what the stamp set looks like in action. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about for the next 5 minutes because this is like a long coloring session, but I just tried to have fun with it and just try to color them in just a little bit different from each other. A lot of the animals are, either brown or gray. So I tried to use different shades of gray for the different colors. Like I used warm grays, cool grays, and then also I have the neutral grays as well. And for the hippo, I did a purple just to keep it different, just so I wouldn't have too many gray animals. And if there was an animal that was white, I would just do like a little outline of gray, just so there's like a tiny little bit of something there. I kind of have I don't want to say formula for coloring animals, but I typically use the same colors. I will always use an E50 for like a snout so it isn't white. I'll always use R20 for the blush and the inside of ears. My favorite colors for browns are the E30s, and then I also like using the E70s and E40s for the browns. I just like them because they blend well, and there's like a variation on like the lightness to darkness, so there's different shades that you can use with that. So I like E30s, E70s, and E40s. I also like the E20s as well. I also do like the oranges. the orange brown. So I really like, I believe like the YRs are my favorites of all the Copic markers. So we have the kitty here. We're calling those in, I believe, YR, and I'm obsessed with yellow greens. I'm not sure why. I think it's just spring is coming, and that's like the ultimate spring color for me. So we are almost done here. We just have a few more images left. If I go outside the line, I typically use the 0 marker to push that ink back in where it's supposed to go. And sometimes when like the paper is really wet and you've pushed that ink back in, you'll get some bleeding. So before it bleeds, I always dry it with a heat gun so that ink is kind of frozen in time. So I'll push the ink back in with the 0 marker and then I'll heat set it just so it won't bleed. Here's what all the images look like all cut out. It was so cute to see them all together. So next up, we're going to look at the lift flap grid. And this was a super fun die. I did use a really heavy sheet of paper. So I just like rescored it and then I folded it back one time just so it would be easy to manipulate, just because I used a really heavy stock piece of paper. But this die was so fun to work with. So I want the flaps to lift up and reveal a message. So I did create this kind of template here, and I'm cutting off all the flaps because I'm just using it to help me position some sentiment stamps that I'm going to use, for when you lift the flap, you'll see a message. So I did pull out the Big News stamp set. This is from a prior release. And these have some great tiny little images and they fit perfectly inside the lift flap grid openings. And I'm stamping it out on a piece of cream colored cardstock. So I really like how these fit perfectly inside. So I'm just choosing the sentiments that I like. And then I will stamp them out using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I wish VersaFine worked with Copic markers because I really love the way it looks when it stamps. So that's what it looks like after when you lift the flap. And I kind of stamped it out toward the bottom so you could see it right away when you lifted the flap. So I'm just going to adhere the cover to it. And then I will adhere my little animals using a little pop dot. And what you want to make sure is, you know how when you lift that flap, you want to make sure that your image is under the fold of the flap so your image doesn't interfere with the lifting. And I just loved making this card. Was so easy to make because the images are so super cute and you really don't need to add a lot more. And I just love these little guys. So cute. And I love the feature of lifting it up for a little secret message. So I decided to adhere just some little confettis just to add a little bit of shine to the card. I'll have pictures in the end. So for this second card, I'm using an older die set called Skybursters, and I really love this die. I really like the ray detailing on it. So I'm doing some ink blending with Distress Oxide ink and Mustard Seed, and I'm doing it more intense toward the center of the oval and then a little bit lighter hand on the outside. I also did some grass. So I cut out one of the Mama Elephant grass dies, and I used that as a stencil to kind of create 3 tiers of grass on the inside oval piece that's part of that die. I just wanted to have a little bit of a background for my critters. And for these critters, I wanted to use the alphas and spell out a sentiment, so I'm using Miss You. So this was easy to center because the rays have one that's directly in the center. So I kind of use that as my frame of reference to center in the animals. And I did the middle ones first and then worked outward just so I could ensure that everything is nice and centered. And again, this says miss you, and those letters do come with the stamp set. I thought my card needed one more element, so I did take one of the stamps from Big News and just stamp a little bit of an extra sentiment in the bottom, and that will finish off that card. I will be mounting my card fronts into card bases to finish everything off. And that's it. I'm calling these cards done. Make sure to join me in the next couple days. We have some dinosaurs to play with. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Stay safe and happy crafting. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.